Guys, this is a Ferrari F40, but we have an F40 in front of me. What in the world? About a year and a half ago, I drove the Ford Maverick for the first time, and now we're here in spring of 2025 with the refresh 2025 Ford Maverick. This is the hybrid XLT model. This one's equipped up to about $37,000, how I have this spec'd out here. In today's video, we're gonna drive it. We're gonna fill it up at the gas station to tell you guys what the real world fuel economy is. The clock is telling me over 40 miles per gallon. Cannot wait to test out what it actually is. Stay to the end because we're gonna look at deals in the area on the Ford Maverick if you guys can pick these up for less than MSRP. Also, we're gonna put this on the spreadsheet. Is this an S tier buy? Is this one of the best buys you guys can sink your money into here in 2025? I think it might be, so stay to the end. We're gonna rank this on the spreadsheet. All right, so this red paint color is an option. I think it's nice. I don't remember this being an option on the XL. The base XL model I don't believe gets it, but the base XL model also gets steel wheels. You still get the hybrid option, which is 191 horsepower here. You can get the 2-liter turbo across the whole lineup as well with 250 horsepower, but your fuel economy is going to go down massively. There's a new Lobo trim as well for 2025. The Lobo is lower, better brakes, 7-speed, dual clutch. It's not really my style, but I'm glad Ford is giving us options alongside the Lariat, the Trimmer, this XLT, and the base XL model. All right, the headlights have changed quite a bit from the last go around. They used to kind of flow into the grille. It used to be, they were bigger and less teardroppy. Now this kind of looks more in line with their bigger trucks in the Ford lineup, but I'm not a big fan of actually how they look compared to the outgoing model. I don't think it looks bad. I think the last, or the pre-refresh, was a little bit more charming. All right, coming to the side, like I mentioned, the 17-inch alloy wheels here on the XLT, but I like the Steelies on the base model. I do a blind spot monitor here equipped. That is an option even on the XL model. It's about 800 bucks if I remember correctly. The hybrid can now come in all-wheel drive, which previously was front-wheel drive only. And the hybrid can now get the 4,000-pound towing package, which previously could only tow 2,000 pounds. So the hybrid's been massively upgraded with this refresh big Ford badge back here. This does have rear parking sensors, how it's equipped, Maverick lettering. Folding this down, I do have 12-volt accessory plugins on each side, 400-watt AC plug-in right there, which is quite nice. Sprayed in bed liner. You got the optional cleats here and tie downs. I could probably fit the Grom on here with that factory bed extension that they offer, but if I own this truck, I absolutely would be throwing the Grom back there and taking it along with me to different areas. All right, so getting into the back seat, hard touch plastic here, soft armrest. I appreciate that. Now these seats been great for the kids. Getting into the back seat for me, this is behind my seat at 6'1", plenty of leg room, plenty of headroom. You got door handles around the passenger seats. I have AC power, 400 watt, but also USB-Cs back here. I have an armrest, and I can probably fold, yes, I can fold this whole thing down, which I haven't been doing because kids have been back here, but I can fold this down and we can, well, we see amplifier. I see high voltage cables back there. It looks like maybe some hybrid pieces of the car. You also have your tethers for your child seats, which is nice. And then you also have what looks like a funnel and maybe some other tools back there. And we do have what looks like to be a full-size spare tire underneath, which you guys are going to like quite a bit. Smart access key on the front. Getting inside, cloth seats on this XLT, but they are quite comfortable. I do have power seats on this side. I do have power mirrors on this XLT as well. All right, let's put the lights back to automatic. The parking lights are incandescent bulbs. It's not the fanciest thing. So you guys want to see it start up? Let's go ahead and fire this guy up. So I do believe this screen is all new. So this is a 13-inch screen. There are pros and cons to this setup. Previously, with the model I tested, there was a lot of analog. Remember, I want to say there was an analog tach or power gauge. There's an analog speedometer with a smaller screen. They replaced it here with this 8-inch screen. This is the setup I like. Okay, you have your power gauge here, how much throttle you're putting in, as well as regen, your speedometer, assistant driving features here. And then this is your fuel economy gauge on the right. You can see, well, this tank is smaller than the turbo tank. I want to say it's around 13.5 gallons. It's still impressive. You still should be able to get well over 500 miles of range, at least city driving. On the highway, it's going to go down. All right, this 13-inch screen is good, but it has siphoned off, or Ford has siphoned off the physical climate control down here. Previously, we had rotary dials for the climate control. Now we just have volume down here and some other accessory buttons like auto brake hold. I can turn the screen off right here. I can turn it back on. Well, I should put it into stasis mode. That's kind of what this button does. But I also have heated steering wheel, heated seats here. I believe this is a part of the luxury package. All right, I do have wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, which is nice. And I like how Ford gives us an option to, well, have my fuel economy trip over here. 44 miles per gallon, as you guys can see, over about 70 miles that I've driven so far this week. But yeah, all the climate controls built in through the bottom portion. And then the fan controls all the way over here to the right, temperature control right here. And it's not my ideal setup, but it works, okay? And it hasn't been that big of a bother this week, all right? There's other things that this truck has really improved upon, is when we'll find out when we start driving, that I can live with a lack of physical climate control. Moving on down here, this is where your wireless charger would be, probably on the higher end models like the Lariat, for example, but lots of additional storage. This drive knob is kind of funny. You can just keep twisting it even though it stops at drive and park. So it's just funny how there's no stops in there. There's also a low mode automatic, or should I say emergency parking brake here, a little electronic trash control, cup holders, and more storage. This armrest is really soft, and look at my ergonomics here, elbow to volume, it's great. Then inside there's actually a felt line liner. Speaking of felt line liners, we have one up here for the sunglasses, no auto dimming rear mirror or side mirrors here. And then, yeah, I remember I had a plastic steering wheel last go around XLT. This one being a leather wrap steering wheel because it is heated, and the heated works quite well. All right, twisting the old dial into drive here. I love auto brake hold in here. It's done really well. Now, I'm going to start off, guys, right away with the most impressive thing about the Maverick so far. And it hasn't been, and the pedestrian warning, definitely let this lady know. The pedestrian warning here, because it's an electrified vehicle, when the engine is off, is kind of loud. But anyways, it's not super annoying like I've had in other hybrids or EVs. But anyways, the biggest improvement, guys, as I get onto the brakes, is the brakes. I remember the last Maverick, it seemed like Ford had not figured out how to do the combination brakes, meaning friction mixed with the regen brakes. Now the brake pedal and the brake feel, the brake predictability is 100% locked in. It's predictable. It's fantastic. It's nice and firm. I'm absolutely obsessed with the refinements they've made to this vehicle, at least when it comes to the hybrid driving dynamics. I remember also maybe sometimes when the engine wasn't the smoothest on or off. I can rest assure you guys, this is as smooth as like pretty much any Toyota hybrid at this point. All right, I mentioned Toyota because Toyota uses the exact same hybrid technology layout. It's not the exact same in terms of, oh, this is a Toyota hybrid that Ford is just using. Well, it's a parallel serial hybrid, I should say. So the engine can act as a generator, the engine can act to power the wheels, and it can assist electric motors. So it's just like a Prius hybrid essentially, and 99% of all the Toyota hybrids out there, that is not the new Hybrid Max stuff or what you see on Toyota pickup trucks. All right, this is a fantastic hybrid system. There's no transmission in here to fail essentially, and that's why I would pick this 99 times out of 100 over the turbo model. All right, the turbo model, well, the Lobo has a 7-speed dual clutch, but the rest of them have an 8-speed. I honestly am not interested at all. This increases the reliability of the vehicle. You might be saying, Kirk, what about the hybrid battery? Well, Ford warranties that for 8 years to my understanding, so it's nothing really to worry about. And has a 1.1 kilowatt hour battery. The battery here, it should last for the lifetime of the vehicle. If not, it's a small battery, and in 10, 15, 20 years, if the battery ever goes out, it wouldn't be that costly to replace. All right, batteries are never my worry when it comes to a hybrid vehicle because they're taxed so little. All right, and if they do go bad, they're typically under warranty. They don't cost that much to replace. All right, some people say, hey, there's no point of buying a hybrid because, well, your fuel economy is not ever going to make up if the battery goes out. I disagree with that. People are just going to hate on hybrids for whatever reasons they have. This is the reason you get this vehicle, is the hybrid. Now, it's cool that they have the Lobo, but the turbo does nothing for me personally, okay? There's just more failure points. You have a turbo, you have automatic transmissions. Here, it's very, very simple. The engine is less stressed in theory due to the assist of the battery and the electric motors in here. All right. What about responsiveness? Well, there's a Honda Civic riding me about as hard as it can, even though I'm stuck behind this pickup truck in front of me, so I can't really test responsiveness. But just know that responsiveness on this vehicle is fantastic. It's going to be better than the automatics because this ECVT just goes pedal down. I heard it move the kids' child seats in the back backwards. All right, so there's not much waiting around. It just spins up the engine and goes, and then you get the electric assist as well. All right, I'm driving in fully electric right now. There's no indication to let you know you're in fully electric on this vehicle unless you're looking at the efficiency gauge. The efficiency gauge will just say you're getting like 0 miles per gallon because the engine's not on. That's the only way I know the engine's off. It's very quiet in here. The engine's always quiet. It's very, and it's never like disturbing my peace in this vehicle if the engine turns on. I really don't know when it's on or off. I have to look at my instrument cluster. All right, but the brakes here, fantastic. Oh, that's one thing. I don't have a battery gauge to let me know the charge of the battery. So that's a bit of a bummer. I like having that nerdy metric on Toyota hybrids, Hyundai hybrids, pretty much any hybrid. The last hybrid I remember not having a battery gauge to let me know the state of charge of the battery. Okay, here goes the Civic. Yeah, it really wants to get around me. The last vehicle was the CX-50 hybrid, which uses Toyota's hybrid technology. All right, but it didn't, Mazda didn't, oh, there's a Del Sol back there. Mazda didn't build in a battery gauge to let me know what's going on. And that's the same thing here with this vehicle. I don't know where my state of charge of battery is, and that's okay. It's not the end of the world. All right, I'm still getting 43.6 miles per gallon, but we're also gonna take this on the highway just for a little bit, and then we're gonna fill this up to see what my fuel economy is. The best I saw was 47 miles per gallon. I'm not using the AC right now because it's 70 degrees outside. I mean, I can crack the windows if I want to get a little bit of ventilation, but that is gonna increase the noise in here, of course, having your windows down. Speaking of noise, guys, this truck is so quiet. It doesn't have acoustic glass either. I get like no road noise, and in town I get like no wind noise. We'll see on the highway here in a little bit, but this truck feels super solid. Like, it's built really well, and you'd think with all the plastic and stuff in here that you would get creaks and rattles. It's 2,500 miles about on the clock, 0 creaks and rattles. In fact, on my last Maverick drive, that vehicle had like 12,000 miles on it. I had 0 creaks and rattles. These things feel like they're built really, really well. They're built in Mexico. They could be subject to tariffs in the future to some sort, but I absolutely love how solid this truck feels, even though it's small. The engine kicked on there with acceleration, but sometimes it takes a while for it to kick in. This morning, I was picking up Dunkin' Donuts in this truck, and there was no traffic. It was like 5 a.m. I got this truck up to 46 miles per hour before the engine kicked in. All right, the conditions have to be right. You have to have a light foot in order for that to happen, but you also need the battery to be filled up. I had no idea what the state of charge of the battery was. It must have been pretty high for me to slowly accelerate to 46 miles per hour before the engine kicked in. I thought that was fantastic. I don't know if I've ever been able to do that in a Toyota hybrid. The new Camry 5th gen hybrid system might be able to do that. So I don't know what's going on there, if it's just very efficient, or maybe Ford lets you use a little bit more of that battery pack than what Toyota lets you use, okay? So it's only a 1.1 kilowatt hour battery, but maybe Ford's confident in using maybe 5-10% more of that battery instead of locking it away for reliability. I don't know, but regardless, I thought that was impressive. And yeah, I've also had a TRD Pro Tacoma this week. That's also a hybrid. I don't like driving it. I love driving this truck. It's easy to get in and out of. It's easy to maneuver. It's comfortable. It's quiet. It's just great. And like, this truck cost half as much as a TRD Pro Tacoma. And well, I mainly just drive around town. So the TRD Pro Tacoma for me is completely wasted, unless like you're doing off-roading all the time or plan on doing it a lot. And the ownership of that vehicle is just, unless you have to have the coolest looking truck on the market, which, I mean, that's subjective. The ZR2 Bison looks amazing too, but the TRD Pro Tacoma looks incredible as well. I just like how this truck isn't trying to pretend anything that it's not, like pretty much most trucks out on the road, that people never use the truck for its usage, its capability, I should say. All right, and this truck, it's like, okay, I'll have the bed if I need it. Otherwise, I'm getting 44 miles per gallon in town. It's just, it's awesome, and it's cheap. All right, I could toot this truck's horn all day long. Now, the ride quality in here is a little bit on the stiff end. I noticed it the first time I drove it, and ever since then, it hasn't once bothered me. Ford has to make sure that this thing can have a good payload capacity, so around 1,500 pounds, right? The rear suspension especially feels fairly firm, all right? I tried to hit that pothole, I missed it, so I can't give you feedback on it. Also, handling in this truck is great compared to normal trucks that have a body on frame. Like, it handles like a crossover or like a Ford Bronco Sport. All right, the steering is on the stiffer end. It's a little bit numb feeling right off center, but it does have a decent heft to it. Okay, and we're just gonna try to get around this bigger brother Ford here. Pedal down. I have to get on my brakes because this E-Class is accelerating very slowly onto the freeway. So I haven't floored it all week. I've been babying this thing to get the best fuel economy. But even when that engine's at full tilt, it's not very loud, all right? All right, so this road here on the freeway is notoriously loud. I think once we get closer to Collier County, it smooths out. So we're gonna get around this E-Class, just pedal down. This has more performance than my Prius, okay? Yes, I own a Prius. Don't know how much longer. I'd love to replace it with something like this, but to be honest, I probably need an additional 3-row vehicle because I have so many kids. All right, here's the smooth road. Now we can talk about it. Okay, so the tire noise wasn't bad. I do have cruise control in here, and you can get radar cruise on this vehicle, but this one is equipped with just standard cruise control. It does have, I think, lane keep for other models, and you can get that upgrade as well, I think, on the XLT, like lane centering. But I like the idea of keeping this truck's cost as low as possible. Also, I forgot to mention, I have push button start. I don't remember that on the last XLT I drove. I think it was key ignition and the hybrid, which is kind of eerie because the engine doesn't turn over when you crank the key. All right, so 77 miles per hour here. The truck is telling me I'm getting about 30 miles per gallon on the gauge. It's pretty darn good. All right, the efficiency gains are going to be for sure seen in town. You're going to be able to get 40 plus miles per gallon. The front wheel drive models get better fuel economy. I think it's rated at 44 in town, and this is rated at 42 in town with all-wheel drive. On the highway, they're only about 1 mile per gallon difference. I personally don't need four-wheel drive, so I'd be saving, I want to say it's like $2,200 for the four-wheel drive option. I'd be saving that money and just be getting the front-wheel drive, getting better fuel economy, a lighter vehicle. It would be fantastic. The wind noise at over 70 miles an hour, it's acceptable. You hear it a little bit in this area, but it's not like whistling. It just sounds like wind buffeting, which is normal in just about every single vehicle unless you're in a high-end luxury car. But it's not bad. Over 70 miles an hour is pretty quiet in here. The truck feels planted. It feels very solid at speed. All right, so let's go ahead and get off the highway and find a gas station and fill this Maverick up. Guys, this is a Ferrari F40. I'm gonna try to get to it, and we're hauling to get behind the F40. Guys, this is like a sacred experience. I better get on the brakes. What are we seeing here? Do you guys see that on camera? Guys, what is this? I know I live in a magical area, but we have an F40 in front of me. What in the world? You guys probably can't hear very well, but this is incredible. Good thing I have cameras, but again, I had the A-pillars in the way here. So maybe I can twist it. Maybe you guys can see the F40 now. Yep, manual. Oh my Lord. Wow, there's a good, nice Corvette up there too, but holy moly. All right, we just filled up. We have 81.2 miles on the clock, divided by a whopping 1.93 gallons. Guys, 42 miles per gallon. 42 miles per gallon. Now, that's on the all-wheel drive model. Again, you'd be able to get better fuel economy on the front-wheel drive model, okay? So I wouldn't be surprised if I could eke out, especially in town, 45 miles per gallon on this vehicle. And I'm just, you know, I'm in love with the Maverick, always have been. If I didn't have so many kids, I would own one. So let's go ahead and get into the office, see if there are deals, and let's put it on this spreadsheet. Let's rank it on the list. All right, looking at deals in my area, guys, you can find a leftover one for $4 grand off. Now, remember, smaller screens, the technology is good, key ignition, but for $4 grand off, 24 grand on a brand new 24 XL, I would say it's a good deal. However, let's look at the 25 model. That's what we're reviewing today. Get them for as low as 26 grand in my area. I just have to drive over to the East Coast to get them. Guys, a blue one. The white is too worker truck for me. I like the Steelies on the blue paint. 26 grand. And then looking at the XLT, and guys, there's not any Lobos in my area. There aren't any, what's the trimmers? Only XLTs, XLs, and Lariats. Only 3 Lariats. What is a Lariat costing? 37, 39, but it's 39 because it's not selling at 41. Yeah, no one's ordering the Lariats. People want the XLs and the XLTs. That's where under $30,000 or around $30,000, that's where this truck is just unbeatable. There's nothing else, no car, no truck, no SUV. There's nothing else on the market that brings such a good, well-rounded value as the Ford Maverick Hybrid around $30,000. It's just unreal. Would I spend $37 on the one I reviewed? Absolutely not. Is it a bad buy at $37K? Absolutely not. It's still a fantastic buy, but I feel like its strong suit is its affordability, and getting these things about as cheap as possible is the name of the game. For all the vehicles I've driven so far this year, where does it fall in terms of my buy list? Is it Is it pay me to drive? Is it a solid buy? Take my money? Well, I already let you guys know I love this truck, and I like it better than the twice as expensive Tacoma TRD Pro that I've had this week that I've only driven a couple times just because I'd rather be driving the Maverick. It's just so much more comfortable to get in. It's simple. It's easy to maneuver. Getting better fuel economy. It doesn't really matter because it's not my gas that I'm really paying for necessarily, even though I did fill this truck up. Anyways, it's a take my money. The Maverick is so good. If it, the thing is, if it was loud and if it like had creaks and rattles, it would probably go down to A or B, probably A. It feels so solid. It drives so well. Now that they fixed the weird braking that the previous gen had, the styling's not quite as good in my opinion, and they got rid of the climate control knobs, but the fact that they fixed the braking, it's a home run. Absolute home run. We're going to put the Ford Maverick, we're just going to put it at the very top. Does it mean it's better than a 4Runner? No, it's just different. Okay, but if I was looking for a truck right now, it would be between the Maverick Hybrid and the Nissan Frontier. Just depends on what you need. If you need body on frame, if you need tons of towing capacity, if you need a real truck instead of an occasional truck, yeah, go get a real body on frame truck. And if you do, and you're looking for a midsize truck, the Nissan Frontier is my pick of the midsize litter, which doesn't spell well for that Tacoma I got a review still this week. But the Maverick Hybrid, it's really the truck that 99% of Americans need who don't use their truck for work. Okay, if you just use your truck to say you have a truck, you live out in the burbs, this is a better truck. Obviously, it's more practical. It's not maybe going to pull at the heartstrings of a lot of people, but hey, if you want this truck, if you like the packaging, but you want more heartstrings, maybe go for the Trimmer or the Lobo. Okay, to me, its strength is in its hybrid powertrain. 42 miles per gallon today. The clock said 43. I got 42. It's too good. What's crazy is that the Maverick Hybrid, it still sells for such a low price. I know it's made in Mexico. That might have something to do with it. It sells for such a low price despite having no competition. You might be saying, Kirk, what about the Santa Cruz? The Hyundai Santa Cruz doesn't have a hybrid. It can tow more a little. It can tow like 5,000 pounds instead of the 4,000 pounds we have on the Maverick when equipped properly. The Maverick looks cool, in my opinion. It looks cutesy. It looks like a miniature F-150. The Santa Cruz looks weird still, even after a refresh. It looks like it's trying too hard. And that's what I like about the Maverick. It's not trying to be anything that it's not. It knows its identity as essentially a unibody pickup truck that gets 40 miles per gallon, and it doesn't cost, it costs 20 grand less compared to the average transaction price in America right now. All right, Maverick Hybrid right at the top of the list. In the S tier, alongside with the CT5, V-Series Blackwing, Ioniq 5N, Nissan Armada, and Toyota 4Runner SR5. All right, I had to put the SR5 in there because I don't really believe in any other trim level of the 4Runner because they're so damn expensive. It's a home run still to this day. They just made it better. They made it better from 24 to 25, pre-refresh, post-refresh. And I honestly can't think of, other than like the physical climate control, I can't think of something that would make this truck that much better. All right, all-wheel drive instead of mechanical all-wheel drive, maybe so it doesn't have as big of a performance hit, or should I say a mile per gallon hit. I got to shut it down. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Long live the Ford Maverick. I'm so glad this vehicle exists. It blows my mind that there's no competition for it. Where's Ford? Where's Subaru? Where's the Subaru Baja? Where's the Subaru Brat? Where's the Toyota Stout? Where's a Honda pickup truck that would compete directly with this? There's just nothing out there, and it blows my mind. And here's Ford. I think it came out in 2021, this vehicle. Here's Ford 4 years later. Still no competition, and they just made it better. Thank you guys. Have a great day. I'm trying to close this down, but I just love this truck so much. Have a great day and peace.